Hey, doesn't that look weird? You're seeing Super Mario Brothers or versus Super Mario Brothers, and it says insert coin. I'm kind of used to playing it on the NES, but seeing like insert coin reminds me of the arcade era. That's right, guys. We are looking at the arcade version of NES games, and they weren't just strictly NES games. There were differences. Sometimes the games were slightly different. There was a spike in difficulty, as well as that. Well, you had to pay coins to play. The hardware itself was very similar to NES, but sometimes it would have extra quirks like extra RAM. This version of Super Mario Bros. Here is something that you played in the arcade. Now, guys, I have never ever seen one of these games. I don't think I ever did in the arcade. Or if I did see them as a kid, I was like, why am I going to play like a NES game? Because we had NESs at home when I can play like different arcade games out there. But these games were different. I remember I did a recent interview with Mr. Artist Ranny Snice, and he mentioned that he played Castlevania on one of these arcade machines and he was absolutely blown away by it. And just imagine his happiness when he found he could actually get that on the NES. So where I did say there are differences with the game, so first of all, I am colorblind, I always mention it, but the color looks a little bit different to me than the normal Mario Brothers. You can notice it on Mario. Now over here, you know this, right? In World 1, 2, there's a warp that you can go to. Surely enough, I can jump up there. Maybe I was supposed to jump up and around, but I was running muscle memory and I landed straight down. So potentially maybe there's no warp in it. And there are differences in the games. If you know the games well, you'll probably notice lots and lots of them. And again, it's just fascinating seeing that title screen and seeing that credit sign there. Bang! Press that coin button, put in your credit, and enter the world of Castlevania. Now, when I played this, I didn't really notice any differences. I'm sure there are some differences. I didn't notice any, but hey, my memory is not that great, but it felt like Castlevania. It felt exactly like Castlevania. The bits I was good at, and the bits I sucked at. Mind you, I do suck a bit more these days, but this is just freaking amazing to get a call like this for the MiSTerFPGA. I know we can play a lot of these games on the NES, but we've now got these differences. Now, the developer behind this is Blue One. If you want to get this core up and running for yourself, it isn't available via update tool, but there is a compiled version of this core available on the MiSTerFPGA Discord server under the test builds. Naturally, I will leave a link where you can go directly to this core, and I'll leave an invite link to the MiSTerFPGA Discord server as well if you do want to go and check it out yourself. Now, this one here, it's not like the consoles, it's an arcade system. So you put the RBF in your arcade and cores folder, and you put a bunch of MRA files in the arcade folder. And as well as that, you need the matching ROMs. Now, there's a whole bunch of games in here. In fact, we'll take a look at the entire list because in this video, I'm not going to go through them, but we'll have a look at the entire list. Now, I was able to get most of the ROMs, or I had them in my main set, but there was a couple that weren't in my main, so I need to look into that later. But there was plenty of games in there that do work and I could check out. But let me show you guys that games list. You are gonna be impressed. So here we are running on a MiSTer, and oh, by the way, I'm upscaling this with the more 4K. I generally am doing a lot of my content in 4K just for you guys out there watching it on big screens, but you can see there's a whole bunch of games there. Honestly, I don't think I can count that high. Okay, I probably can count that high, but I never counted the games, and I've checked out I think either 5 or 6 games in this video, and that's what we'll have a look at. But if you do want to check these out, head over to the MiSTerFPGA Discord server, check these out for yourself, guys. It's freaking amazing. You may need an unstable version of the MiSTer main. If you're unsure how to do that, just leave me a comment and I'll link you an earlier video that talks you through exactly how to do that. But this is an amazing way to enjoy NES games. If there's a game that you're a master of on the NES, maybe you want to try the arcade version, which will be slightly different, and the difficulty might be, well, it might be a lot more difficult, but there are some classics there that we can all see. Absolutely brilliant. Believe it or not, you're going to hear something a little funny here. So this game here, Balloon Fight, I heard a lot about this game, but I never ever played it. It's just one of those games I knew it was a NES game. I think maybe it was out for the Game Boy as well. And so I had no idea what the game is. Obviously, I knew it involved a balloon and some fighting. The title kind of gives that away. But when I played this, I really liked this game. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of Joust, right? Remember that game Joust where you're those bird things and jousting and whatnot? It kind of reminds me of that. You're floating around with your balloons and you're kind of trying to pop the other balloons at the same time, not trying to get your balloons popped. What I didn't realize was once you destroy their balloons, you need to go down and attack those guys. I kind of found that out later when I saw those guys resurfacing. So you pop the balloon, and once they kind of fall down, you land on top of them, or you just make contact with them to drop them. I did find that out later. There you go, I found it out. This is a really good game, man. It's a game where, okay, back then graphics graphics weren't everything. By the way, graphics are decent, especially considering that time, but games were just fun, and this is just a fun game to freaking play. Even now, like I did play for quite a bit when filming this video, and often have to remind myself, Pixel, you're on a timer here. You need to move on and do the voiceover and do your chores, because there's always chores. But yeah, Balloon Fight, splendid game. Not sure what the NES version is like, but the arcade version is amazing. So I can't compare this to the NES version because I haven't actually played this on the NES. Now, don't get me wrong, I did play a lot on NES when I was growing up, but I missed a lot of games. There was a lot of games for the NES. But what I really like about this, I don't know if this is in the NES version or this is exclusive to the arcade, but Neo Geo style, you're getting a little preview of what the buttons do. Accelerate, turbo, and it gives you a little heads up saying make sure you don't tilt your bike too much or it can run into issues. I also like the way that when you have an accident and your bike goes, you kind of get off your bike and then you run to your bike. It kind of reminds me of Road Rash. I was going to say Road Rage. Road Rash on the Sega Mega Drive. Maybe that was inspired from Excite Bike. So absolutely amazing. Such a great game. So I actually played this game, but I played this on the Nintendo 3DS. I think when I bought the 3DS originally and the price drop happened, they'd done this ambassador program. And then what I did, I think Excite Bike was one of the 3D games I got with it. And it was really cool on the 3DS. That was amazing. But guess what? A sad story about my 3DS. When I upgraded my 3DS to like a new 3DS, I kind of traded it in and I didn't realize the account was tied to the machine. I thought I'd log into my Nintendo account and get all my purchases. Well, guess what? I lost all my bloody purchases, including all my ambassador program games that I got. I was kind of gutted, but hey, you know what? Custom firmware is here and it has given me the goodies back. The final game that we are going to look at in this video is a favorite shmup of mine, Gradius Center. I'm not sure if there's less flickering or if there's placebo. I mean, I didn't go and check the NES versions to make a comparison, but honestly, this is well worth checking out. But let's have a look at some facts and a little bit of an overview of the system. So, the Versus NES system, arcade system developed and produced by Nintendo based on Famicom hardware, some foundation of the NES. First version of Famicom hardware to debut in North America, or did debut in North America in 1984, used as a way to preview NES games after the 1983 video crash. Helped test the North American market before the NES launch. So some really interesting stuff here. Coincidentally, it really didn't do well in the home market in Japan, so Nintendo kind of discontinued this arcade system there. But in America, it did really well. It sold over 100,000 cabinets, and in fact, it was the highest grossing arcade system in the year 1985. So there's quite a bit of heritage and quite a bit of history there. But there were three different type of cabinets: Versus Unisystem, which was upright; Versus Dual System, which was an upright one as well; and a Versus Dual System sit-down version as well. So absolutely amazing seeing this stuff here. The MiSTer's just freaking awesome, guys. We have such a great community, and a big shout out to Blue One for the amazing work that they've done. Now, when I tested a few games, there was one game that gave an issue at the moment, and I have DM'd Blue One, and that was Duck Hunt. When I ran Duck Hunt, I got like a static sound. I don't know why I ran it. I was going to do the attract mode, to be honest. I didn't have a light gun plugged in. I know I don't have a light gun, a NES light gun that I can use via snack. I have the Sinden light gun, but obviously this doesn't have Sinden light gun support, at least not yet. It'd be nice to see if it can get Sinden light gun support for games like Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley. But that's really it for this video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you like all things FPGA gaming, especially MiSTer, then hey, consider subscribing to the channel. Hitting that like button and ringing those notification bells really does help out. Anyway, guys, be freaking awesome to love. Go check this out. Don't be afraid of adding files manually. I'm sure this will come to update all at some point, but hey, get involved in the fun, get involved in the testing, especially if you know this system and you know these games. You can maybe if you find some bugs, you can report them. Anyway, guys, MiSTer is freaking awesome. You guys are awesome for watching it and actually getting to this part of the video. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.